Most buyers I meet have heard a number from a lender, from a calculator, from a friend, but they don't actually know how it was calculated. That's a problem, because the real answer depends on 4 specific inputs. You can calculate yourself in about 10 minutes. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the rule lenders really use, how your income turns into a maximum price, the Florida-specific costs that quietly shrink your budget, and the one honest gut check that separates a house you love from a house you can barely afford. I'm Ryan Solberg with MaxLife Realty, and I walk buyers through this exact math before they ever tour a home. Let's start with the classic guideline, the 28-36 rule. Your housing payment should stay under 28% of your gross monthly income, and your total debt, housing plus cars, plus credit cards, plus student loans, should stay under 36%. Lenders call that second number your debt to income ratio. In 2026, most conventional lenders cap that ratio around 43 to 45%, and FHA pushes to about 50% in some cases. But the sweet spot for comfortable living, not just approval, is still closer to 36. So do the math on yourself before a lender does. Take your gross monthly income times 0.28. That's your maximum housing payment as a stretch. Then take your gross monthly income times 0.36 minus all your other monthly debt. That's your comfortable maximum. Take the smaller of those two numbers, and that's your working ceiling. Here's why the second one usually wins. On a household making $10,000 a month, 28% is $2,800, but add $600 a month in car and student loan payments, and the 36% test leaves you closer to $3,000 for total debt. So, existing debt is what actually constrains most Orlando buyers. Now, here's where most buyers get tripped up, translating that monthly payment into a home price. Your payment isn't just principal and interest. In Florida, it's 4 things, often called PITI plus HOA: principal, interest, taxes. Orange and Seminole County run roughly 1.0 to 1.3% of assessed value every year. Insurance, the big one in Florida, and HOA, anywhere from 0 in unincorporated areas to $300 to $800 a month in communities like Keens Point, Bella Colina, Isleworth, and the Lake Nona area. A rough rule of thumb for Central Florida in 2026, on a 30-year loan around 6.5%, every $100,000 of home price adds roughly $825 to $950 a month of total carrying cost. Let's put real numbers to it. Here's roughly what different incomes can afford in Orlando at 7% rates, based on income, down payment, and limited existing debt. A household earning $85,000 a year with 10% down qualifies for about $380,000 to $450,000. At $120,000 a year with 25% down and limited debts, you can typically afford $550,000 to $650,000 and a $2,800 housing payment. That's the 28% ceiling on a $10,000 a month income. Supports roughly $380,000 to $420,000 at 7% with 10% down and typical Orange County taxes and insurance. Notice how much the down payment and your debts move the number. But affordability isn't only monthly, it's the one-time hit on day one. And in Florida, that hit is bigger than most states. At a $600,000 price point in Orange County, budget for a down payment of 3 to 20%, that's $18,000 to $120,000. Closing costs for the lender, title, and miscellaneous fees run 2 to 3%, $12,000 to $18,000. prepaid insurance, and your tax escrow add another $4,000 to $8,000, and your inspection and appraisal run $700 to $1,200. Florida closing costs run higher than most states because of title insurance, dock stamps, and intangible tax. Buyers who hit the monthly limit but can't cover closing and reserves are not financially ready, no matter what the pre-qualification calculator says. Here's the mistake that quietly wrecks Orlando budgets. Running the numbers like you're buying in another state and forgetting what Florida costs. Two line items shrink your budget more than buyers expect. Property taxes on a non-homesteaded home run 1.5% to 2% of assessed value, and homeowners insurance for a $500,000 home runs $4,500 to $8,000 a year. That alone is several $100s a month of payment before you've touched principal or interest. Add HOA in a gated community, $200 to $800 a month, and a payment that looked affordable on a generic calculator suddenly isn't. Always run Florida insurance and tax numbers, not the defaults. So before you fall in love with a listing, ask yourself one honest question. At this payment, am I still saving for retirement, funding my kids' activities, and taking one real vacation a year? If the answer is no, you're stretching, and a house you can barely afford is worse than a house you love at a smaller size. A good lender tells you what the bank will approve. A good agent tells you what you'll actually be happy paying. You want both opinions before you write an offer. The full breakdown is at maxliferealty.com/blog/how-much-home-can-you-afford-Orlando. And if you want me to walk through your real number, your income, your debts, your cash on hand, call or text me at 321-373-3536.